Here's how Microsoft is gonna blow our minds with the Xbox Next. What's up, y'all? I'm Ray, and this is my channel, Xbox Ready, where you guessed it, we talk Xbox stuff. That is right, the latest news, rumors, games, pretty much anything I want to talk about as long as it's about Xbox in some way. And in today's video, we're gonna talk about how Microsoft can actually deliver on this huge promise they made with the Xbox Next. Now, despite an increased expectation from people that Microsoft is gonna ditch hardware and just be a game publisher, leadership at Xbox has been like, no, there's gonna be Xbox consoles, and not only that, the next Xbox console is gonna be the craziest technological leap in console generation history. It's gonna be wild, guys. You gotta see it. And while that all sounds well and cool, most people have been wondering, how the hell are you gonna do that? Well, the gang over at Digital Foundry may have found the answer, and it lies in machine learning. In a recent Digital Foundry episode, they discussed that machine learning is gonna play a huge part in both the PlayStation 6 and the Xbox Next. The Xbox Next being the stand-in name for whatever Xbox console comes next, because we know that they're probably gonna name it something off the wall and slightly confusing. As Digital Foundry pointed out, we're already starting to see some aspects of machine learning and generative AI upscaling in some PC and console games. Specifically, if you view something like, I don't know, NVIDIA DLSS, you too have experienced this phenomenon. But so far, its use, its implication, it's been fairly limited. Essentially, what you need to know is that the next generation of Xbox consoles, thanks to machine learning specifically, they're going to be way better at AI upscaling. And in theory, it'll smooth out these textures, make them nice and crispy, fill in clothing patterns a lot better. I don't know if that kind of stuff is worthy of hyping up as, oh, the biggest technological leap in console generation history, but we know that this is an area that Xbox is currently working on. They're currently hiring people specifically for machine learning and working with AI to implement into games. What kills me about this Digital Foundry episode is that they were like, yeah, admittedly, this generation, the Series X and S, the PS5, was oversold. A lot of the features that they hyped up at the beginning of this generation never really manifested, like when Austin Evans revealed the Series X and they showed him, oh, ray tracing in Minecraft, check that out. Where is that? We don't know. So yeah, this generation, as much as I love my Series X, my Series S, my PlayStation 5 even, they had me believing that games were gonna look cuckoo bananas crazy, every single one, when in reality, that hasn't really been the case. They look pretty good, but nothing that makes me completely just mind blown. Even on the PlayStation side, it's like, yeah, these games look good, but more or less they are just improved versions of games that were out like just a couple of years ago. Every generation since the Xbox One seems to be overhyped, oversold when it comes to graphical performance and features. They really had some people believe in when they bought their Series X that they were going to be playing games at 8K 120 FPS. That's not necessarily the Series X's fault, but there's always sort of that element of marketing, overhyping something. So I'm trying not to buy too far into this whole generational leap narrative. All I'm asking for is, yes, I want improved textures, but I want 60 minimum. 60 is got to be the minimum going forward. If I hear one more first-party studio come out and say, yeah, we couldn't get 60 FPS on console, not even on the Series X, but that's cool, right? 30 FPS is all you really need. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna have a good time. Might crash out. Who knows? Yes, at one time, 30 FPS was all we needed. But times are a-changing, and now we need a little bit more, especially if you're gonna pony up the cash for either a Series X, which was marketed as the world's most powerful console, or you're gonna buy this next-gen Xbox that is marketed as the biggest technological leap in generation history. You need that. You need at least 60 FPS for any future first-party games. If they're really able to nail it, though, if they can deliver on that promise of bringing this next-gen Xbox beast, that could be huge when it comes to revitalizing excitement in the Xbox brand, specifically their hardware. Speaking of things that never quite manifested, there is an alternate timeline where Destiny is an Xbox exclusive. Phil Spencer recently did an interview where he was talking about some moves that he would rather take back when it comes to his career. He was saying, man, yeah, over the years, I've passed on so many games. I could have signed so many games to exclusivity deals on the Xbox platform. To Two of those games are Destiny and Guitar Hero. Both of those games enjoyed wild amounts of success. And with Guitar Hero, I can kind of understand. It's like, okay, I am in charge of Xbox, a platform that is known for like cool, edgy shooters like Halo and Gears, racing games like Forza Motorsport and Forza Horizon. Why would I think that this guitar game, where you have to buy a separate guitar toy to play with, would be a hit with our core audience? But when it comes to Destiny, man, phew, you could not. If that was me, I'm just saying, if that was me, you couldn't torture that information out of me. That would have taken that to my grave. At PAX West, he said, there are so many mixed emotions and stories for me around Destiny. Obviously, Phil Spencer is very publicly a huge fan of Destiny 1 and 2. He apparently asked himself, do we want to sign this? We ended up not signing Destiny and obviously went to Activision. And to seeing what it grew into, like from a business kind of Xbox standpoint, I can look at it as it's just a really interesting journey in terms of what Bungie built. He said that he didn't really click at first with Destiny. I'm not a big PvP player. If someone looks at my player history, it's not a lot of what I do, and I was a little worried that I was going to get thrown into a PvP world. It turns out that's not what it was at all. Describing what Destiny ultimately grew into as interesting is a huge understatement. Activision at one point said that the Destiny franchise raked them in $1 billion. And at one point, it was the #2 shooter only behind Call of Duty. In the first couple of days after Destiny launch, it made like $325 million or something crazy like that. Now, OG Destiny, it was all right. Like, the story was all right, and there was that whole thing where Peter Dinklage gave absolutely nothing in his performance.
Good to be back. Where should we go first?
But still, it's crazy to think that Xbox had the shot to sign them to a deal. To be fair, PlayStation also had that shot as well, ultimately passed, and then it fell into Activision's lap. But thinking back on when Destiny launched, during that Xbox One generation, it could have been huge for them. It could have been the turnaround that they desperately needed after a series of bad decisions out the gate. And maybe having an exclusive that was as wildly popular and successful as Destiny ended up becoming, maybe it could have altered this weird stance that they have on exclusive games that endures to this day. Obviously, it's all water under the bridge at this point. Hindsight is always 2020, and there is plenty of first-party Xbox stuff that we have to look forward to. And that is doubly true if you're a Game Pass subscriber, because they just announced the first wave of games that are coming to the library in the month of August. Hold on, did I just say August? I meant September. I'm sorry, y'all. Time is absolutely flying. I'm super excited for the beginning of this month, specifically for Age of Mythology Retold. By the time this video comes out, it'll already be available. I have it pre-downloaded right behind me right now, waiting to jump in. I know a lot of people are going to watch this segment and be like, I don't care about this game. Old-ass RTS game. Who cares? I care about this game. I'm living out my childhood fantasy, because at one point during my childhood, I was banned from playing games on the computer because my dad thought that Diablo 2 bricked the whole thing. Maybe it did, maybe it was all the stuff from LimeWire I downloaded, but ultimately I couldn't play any games on our family computer. So if I wanted to play any PC games, no matter what they were, I would have to go over to my friend Matt Swanson's house. And on his computer, he had Age of Mythology 1 and 2. And ooh, that was my jam. After school, going over, playing Age of Mythology. Those were the days. Now, fast forward a decade or two later. Sure, I could play it on my PC, but there's a console version for it now, and that is a beautiful thing. If you weren't able to jump into this franchise back into the day because you were console only, you can do so now. And if you like Age of Empires, congratulations, you just found your next fixation. Because Age of Mythology is pretty much the same thing as Age of Empires, except you have really cool godlike powers and heroes that you have access to. I was actually able to play this game early at the Xbox Showcase, and just like Age of Empires, it translated really well over to controller. Age of Mythology may not be a breakout hit that goes viral, that everyone's gonna be playing, but the fact that they're going out of their way to update the experience, make it playable available on modern day consoles, not only is it just injecting straight nostalgia into my veins, but it is further rounding out the Game Pass library, building the case that if you subscribe to Game Pass, chances are you're going to find at least one thing that you like in the library. Unfortunately, Age of Mythology Retold does have some pretty stiff competition this week, not with other Game Pass titles, but this is the same week that Space Marine 2 is coming out. Obviously, completely different games, completely different genres and fan bases. Technically, the release date is on September 9th, giving Age of Mythology some sort of breathing room, I guess. But early access starts on the 5th, and I imagine a bunch of people, especially on the Xbox side, are going to be jumping into that. Now I'm suddenly remembering why I said August instead of September earlier in the video, because I had the August update on my mind. I saw online that people, after this update went live, were having issues in certain multiplayer games. People were saying they were having issues with Dead by Daylight, Fortnite, Black Ops 6, and I felt bad because I had just posted a video being like, oh, the August update is here. Look at all the cool new features that are in this update. I wasn't having any issues when I was playing Black Ops 6 this weekend, but something weird did happen with my Xbox. At one point, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hop off game. I'm gonna hop off Black Ops. I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna try to finish out Mafia Definitive Edition. And when I tried to open up Mafia, it had that like loading screen art, and then it would just kick me back to the home screen. I tried that a few times and it wasn't launching the game. So I was like, okay, let me try another game. Let me try opening Elden Ring. Same thing. It came up with the art and then booted me back to the dashboard. I was like, hold up, what is going on? So I went and I turned off my Xbox using my Elite Series 2, and then I turned my controller back on thinking that I was just gonna turn on my Xbox, but it didn't. And so I manually started up my Xbox again, and I realized that my controller wasn't connected to my damn Xbox. I wish I was filming this. I should have filmed it. Not only was I not able to play games, but my Series X wasn't responding to any of my controllers, even if I plugged them directly into the console. Things were looking bleak. I was on the verge of a meltdown. Not really. Luckily, a full power cycle of me literally unplugging the power cable from my Series X was able to solve the issue, but it was weird, kind of scary, and I'm curious if anyone has experienced anything similar. Speaking of things that never quite manifested for Xbox Part 2, where is the Xbox mobile storefront that we've been hearing so much about? I saw an article today being like, oh, Xbox, Microsoft, they're saying that a cloud gaming app on iOS specifically is impossible because of the 30% cut that they want. It wouldn't make sense financially, it would be unsustainable. And therein lies the big variable, this giant elephant in the room that Xbox has to dance around if they ever want to get serious about their mobile gaming aspirations. They were very clear from the beginning of their Activision Blizzard King acquisition that they wanted to use this move to try to make a play into the mobile gaming space so they can compete against Apple's App Store and the Google Play Store. I mean, I'm not a huge mobile gamer, quote unquote. I don't play a lot of games on my phone. But if I had the option to play console level games on my phone, maybe I would feel a little different. How exactly that's going to look like, we're not entirely sure because Xbox keeps running into problems. They put a bunch of their hopes on the Digital Markets Act over in the European Union, hoping that legislation would force Apple specifically to be more friendly to rival gaming storefronts on their platform. But the Digital Markets Act came and went, and Apple was basically like, we're just going to change some policies so we still have all the power. Despite all of that, people were reporting, because they were seeing web pages for it, that there was going to be an Xbox mobile storefront by July. Y'all, July has come and gone. We are in September now. I'm sure a bunch of people will see this as a blessing in disguise. There is a certain camp of Xbox fans that aren't particularly crazy about Xbox games showing up on, I don't know, the Amazon Fire Stick and these cloud gaming apps, these other devices. So maybe this will allow Microsoft Xbox to focus on other areas of their gaming division. That is, I guess, until they reach some agreement with the big players in the space already, Apple and Google Play. Anyways, guys, that's all the Xbox stuff I have to talk about today. Thanks so much for joining me for another edition of Xbox Ready. If you made it this far into the video, consider subscribing. Help me get to 200,000. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.